Hi children, last class we learned about the first aid that is given for some common emergencies or accidents that happen around us. Today we will discuss about the first aid for burns. Burns normally happens from hot objects, crackers, heaters, electric points and many other things. There are mainly three types of burns depending on the intensity. Minor burns, severe or major burns and chemical burns. Even though they are all burns, they are of different types and they need different types of first aid also. We can take a look at them. The first one is minor burns. Minor burns can be treated at home. Even though they are minor, please do not neglect them. They need proper care and treatment. The first thing that we can do is wash the burnt part under running cold water. That means on the tap, put the burnt part under it till the pain subsides, till you get a relief from the pain. After that, apply some antiseptic lotion or cream on the burnt part so that it prevents infection. If you are not having an antiseptic lotion or cream at your home, just make a paste of baking soda and water. It's a home remedy. Make a paste of baking soda and water and put it on the burnt part. What is the use of applying baking soda? Are you going to cook the body part? No. Baking soda is not only used for cooking. It has several other uses. One among them is using as a wet compress for burns. That is, baking soda has the ability to pull out the heat from your body. So if you put the baking soda solution or paste on the burnt part, it can pull out the heat from there and you will get a relief from the burning sensation of your body part. So these are the important first aid that should be given at home for minor burns. Wash the burnt part under running cold water for some time. After that, apply a paste of antiseptic lotion, or if it is not available, make a solution or cream or paste of baking soda and water, apply it on the burnt part. And always try to cover the burnt area so that germs won't enter through that area. The next type of burn is severe burns. Severe burns must be treated by a doctor. We can just give first aid for that, because severe burns can even lead to death. Burns, especially severe burns, always causes blisters. Do you know what is a blister? Here I have given you the picture of a blister. It is a bubble-like thing formed after we get burnt. We always try to prick the blister because it is very irritating for us to see the blister, to touch that blister. It is always irritating. So especially you children, you try to prick the blister even if it is very painful. But do not ever try to do it, because an open blister is an open wound. See, you can see the picture of an open blister. When you prick the blister, the skin there is torn and it becomes an open wound. And you have already studied open wound is a way through which germs can enter your body. So do not try to prick a blister. Apply medicine, it will come back slowly. The next thing is cover the burnt part with a clean piece of cloth or a sterile gauze. Because if we keep that burnt part open for severe burns, the skin will be torn. So what happens is germs can enter through that, or flies can come and sit on that. So better cover it with a clean piece of cloth. Keep in mind, not a dirty cloth, a clean piece of cloth or a sterile gauze. After that, make the victim or the person who has burnt his body part, make him comfortable. Making him comfortable means if he is in a shock, just give him some warm drink so that he is made comfortable and calm. But never try to give liquid or something to drink for a person who is unconscious. That will do the reverse effect. That causes the situation to be more dangerous. So if the person is conscious, just give him a warm drink and make him comfortable. The next thing is, we can use a piece of cloth dipped in a solution of baking soda. Solution means baking soda and water mixed together. Dip a piece of cloth, clean piece of cloth or a sterile gauze in a solution of baking soda and use it as a wet compress. I told you first, baking soda pulls out the heat in the burnt part, so it is used as a wet compress. And the last thing is, after doing all these first aid, send for a doctor. Take the person to a hospital. The remaining treatment will be done by the doctor. We only know to give first aid. Treatment is done by doctor. So these are the important things regarding severe burns. Blisters will be formed. Do not try to prick a blister. Cover the burnt part with a clean piece of cloth. Make the person comfortable. Then apply a wet compress by using a paste or solution of baking soda and water, and after that take the person to a hospital. Next type of burn is chemical burn. That is an entirely different type of burn and we have to adopt different methods. The first thing is, a chemical burn is caused from chemicals which are more acidic in content, especially in laboratories and all. So the first thing is, we have to remove the cloth from the affected part, because clothes normally absorbs the chemicals, and if the cloth is allowed to remain on our body, what happens is the situation becomes worsened, or the burnt part, the condition of the burnt part becomes worsened, because the chemical remains in our body and it again and again burns that part. So first we have to remove the cloth from the burnt part. After that, wash away that part, wash away all the chemicals in that part using clean water. When all the chemicals are removed, cover that part with a sterile gauze and take the patient to a doctor. So a very few methods are done, or very few steps of first aid is taken for chemical burns, because the remaining is all about the treatment given by doctor. So these are the three important types of burns that happens around us, and the first aid that is to be given for these three types of burns: minor burns, severe burns and chemical burns. Now next we will study about firefighting. Have you seen firemen? They are people who work day and night, a very respectful job. They don't bother about what is happening to them or what is going to happen to them. 90% of them, they love this job, even though it is very risky. They have a satisfaction that they have saved the life of a very few people, even if the condition around them is worse. So always try to respect them. Whenever there is a fire around us, the first and most important thing that we have to do is inform the nearest fire station, because there is a limit for us to control fire. It is beyond our limits. So they are trained people, firemen are trained people who can put off the fire using their equipments. But there are some first aids that we can do in order to reduce the danger caused by fire. Fire normally happens by different means, or different causes are there for fire. So before giving first aid for fire or before fighting against fire, we have to know how it is caused. Otherwise, if we do first aid, that will do the reverse effect, or that worsens the condition or makes the situation more dangerous. So we can take a look at some of the important causes of fire that happens around us. First one is fire caused by petrol. Petrol is an oil. Oil is lighter than water. Lighter things always goes up. You might have tried pouring oil and water in the same container or in a glass, and you have seen that oil being lighter than water remains as a separate layer on top of it. Same way, if we try to pour water on fire, normally we have a belief that if there is fire, if we throw water, the fire will be put off. But that is not applicable in all situations. If fire is caused by petrol, if we throw water on it, what happens is, petrol being lighter than water always remains on top of water. And if we throw water, oil or petrol remains on top of it and continues burning. So is there any use of pouring water? No. So the better thing that we can do here is throwing sand or mud on the fire caused by petrol. Sand or mud cover the fire or the flame and puts off the flame by cutting off the supply of air. What is the importance of air in here? Burning is a process that happens in the presence of air. Oxygen is a gas present in the air which supports burning, and carbon dioxide is a gas which stops burning. Always keep this in mind. Oxygen supports burning and carbon dioxide stops burning. So only if we cut off the supply of air or cut off the supply of oxygen, we can put off fire. When we throw sand on it, on the fire, what happens? It acts as a cover on top of the fire so that air will not come into contact with it, contact with the fire or the petrol, and burning will be stopped. So whenever a fire is caused by petrol, just throw sand on it. Second case is if a person's clothes catches fire. Mainly in kitchen this happens. Normally in kitchen the condition will not be worse, but some cases it becomes more dangerous. So if a person's cloth catches fire, first thing that we have to do is make the person comfortable. Do not allow the person to run in panic, because when the person runs, he gets more air supply and it fans up the flame. That means the burns with more flame. So ask the person, even if the person will not be willing, he will be ready to run because he will be in a situation to save his life. The person will not think about any other things. So normally they will try to run. But tell or insist the person not to run. Ask him to roll on the ground. On the ground there is sand, and the person, when he rolls on the ground, the oxygen supply is cut off or the air supply is cut off. The other option is covering the person's body with a thick blanket. This also acts as a cover and stops the flame by cutting off the air supply. But getting a blanket is not easy everywhere. So the better option is, or the better way is, to ask the person to roll on the ground. So first thing is, do not allow him to run around in panic. Second thing, make the person roll on the ground. And third one, cover the person with a thick blanket. These are the methods or the first aid that we can provide for a person if his clothes catch fire. This was the second way or the second cause of fire. The next type of fire is caused by defective electric wiring or gadgets. It causes short circuits. Whenever there is short circuits, never throw water at it. The first thing that we have to do is to switch off the main switch. Never throw water at it, because throwing water on fire caused by electric current causes electrocution. What do you mean by electrocution? Electrocution means injuring or killing someone by electric shock. Are you hearing the word for the first time? Maybe. So that is an important word. Electrocution means injuring or killing a person using electric shock. Water is a good conductor of electricity. Conductor means water allows electric current to pass through it. So when we throw water to fire caused by defective wiring, the electric current can pass through the wire and give us electric shock. That is electrocution. So the first and important thing that we have to do is to switch off the main switch so that the electric current supply is stopped. After that, smother the fire by throwing sand. Smother means cover the fire by throwing sand. And the best method is to apply a fire extinguisher. Use a fire extinguisher. You might have seen it in many of the buildings. Even in our schools we have fire extinguishers. So fire extinguisher contains a foam. What do you mean by foam? Foam. When you use a soap, when you rub a soap on your body, the bathing soap on your body, you get foam, the white color bubble like thing. Same way we have foam of carbon dioxide filled in a fire extinguisher. I told you carbon dioxide is a gas that stops burning. I'll just show you the working of a fire extinguisher. When you press the knob here, what happens is the foam of carbon dioxide comes out through the nozzle and it covers the fire, acting as a cover, just like we throw sand or cover with a blanket. This also acts as a cover to cut off the supply of air. That is how the flame is put off. And this is the most safe method because it can be adopted in all cases. We don't need to bother about whether it is caused by petrol, whether it is caused by any other electric gadgets or anything. Fire extinguishers can be used everywhere because it contains foam. It is not a liquid. So the dangerous situations are reduced. So these are the methods that we can adopt in order to give first aid to a fire caused by defective wiring. First one is switch off the main switch. Second one, do not throw water, throw sand on it. Or the last or the important method is using a fire extinguisher. So these are all about the first aid adopted for burns and firefighting. Read your textbook, study it point wise. Just count how many points are there. So that becomes easy for you. And just visualize, as I told you in the last class, just visualize everything in your mind, having fire everywhere around you, calling fire station, firemen coming, before that you are doing first aid. So all these you can visualize and then study, it will be easy. Thank you children.